Okay, so we've talked about the collies, and however, recently in the UK press, there's been talk about NICE's powers perhaps being dampened or diluted in some way because of the value-based pricing discussions which are coming on board in the UK in 2014. So why do we need value-based pricing, and what could it possibly comprise, and what will NICE's role be? Will it be setting drug prices or not? Collies might become a redundant thing if NICE doesn't have the same powers. John, do you want to quickly talk on that? Not too long, and then Carol can respond.
Yeah, one of those things you don't want to get me started on, but you have, but I'll be quick. Now, obviously, value-based, to an economist, value-based pricing is a no-brainer. I mean, in any market, prices are determined partly by value and partly by cost, and generally one or two coming together at some point. So you could well argue that what we already have, certainly in England and Wales, is value-based pricing. So actually, would it make much difference? Or is this just a relabelling exercise? Well, everyone at the moment is fairly convinced it's more than just relabelling. So for me, it really comes down in the end to not what the role of NICE is. I'm pretty sure that NICE will continue to have an economic role as well as a clinical effectiveness role, because if there's any kind of price negotiation, the negotiator is going to want to have some evidence about the cost effectiveness of the product whose price they're negotiating. So that function doesn't go away, but it switches from being a binary, to oversimplify a binary yes-no decision at a given price, to at what price would we say yes. So I think NICE, all the press about NICE's future role as not being able to say no anymore, while strictly true perhaps, doesn't actually get to the point, which is that NICE's advice will become even more important, because I'll actually be talking about every single new product, not just 40% of them.
Thank you, John. And Carol, what would you do? I know I'm an opportunist here.
Yes, I think, where do I start?
I don't know, but where do you think NICE's role is on this value-based pricing?
Well, you've heard in the media over the last week, really, all sorts of reflections on what will happen in the new world of value-based pricing. But one of the things that hasn't come across, and John touched on it, is that in a sense, the elements of value-based pricing are already inherent in our technology appraisal process. The one thing that isn't there is the ability to talk about price. And so you would foresee that in the next evolution, perhaps, of our process, there will be a formal discussion about price. And so the issue becomes who's going to have that discussion.
Would you like NICE to have it? The pricing role?
I think that in a sense, we've walked quite far along this journey, and the last stage of that journey was the introduction of the ability to consider patient access schemes, which is a way of being able to talk about price without mentioning the price, because it's a way of being able to perhaps modulate the way that a new product is introduced when you've understood what the benefit is, and you feel that benefit is really not displayed currently in the price that's being charged. And so you have a mechanism now for a discussion. It takes place at the moment with the Department of Health, and it's NICE that takes a look at the analytical component of that. And I think that's quite a good model. And I see value-based pricing really as the consolidation of 10 years of work in technology appraisals, not necessarily a new dawn, but of course we've got a new government, and it's important that they do articulate exactly what it is that they need.
Thank you, Carol. Quickly, Andreas and Kaz, do you think NICE should have a role in pricing?
Now, as Carol already mentioned, I mean, NICE has this through the patient access scheme, which she mentioned.
There's only on a very small. There's only 10 patient access schemes. It's not like
and there's also, I mean, there's also a story around it that was very promising when we looked at that when it started to. It's one of these innovative pricing schemes you can think of that also emerged in the US. However, it's very difficult to pinpoint a certain outcome, patient outcome, to an achievement of a good patient quality in a measure that you can actually then use in your patient access scheme. So that was also the response we got from NICE earlier this year, is that it looks like they're actually moving away a bit from the very complex patient access scheme simply because of the administrative burden for the healthcare system. And there is an uncertainty also for NICE, or just not on the payer, that they will be refunded at some stage. So it looks like also for NICE they're actually moving away from the complex schemes to something that's so much simplified that it's almost a rebate scheme. and that means that you enter into this very tough cost-cutting
Yes,
arena.
please, no.
Because I think it's quite important to reflect on what we're currently doing with patient access schemes, because it does give at least a reflection on what the future might bring. Because at the moment, the flexibility within that arrangement, which is already embedded in the PPRS, that's already a formal process.
But the PPRS also says NICE is not allowed to set prices.
Agreed, but it's the company that can present a way of being able to allow access in a circumstance that allows somebody like us as an intelligent customer for the public healthcare system to be able to recommend. And it's not just about these very, very complex outcome-based schemes. There's already provision for straight discounts, for example. There's provision for all sorts of ways in which, in a sense, you can have a useful discussion between a payer or a Department of Health and a company. And I think it's quite instructive to have a look at what's going on in those patient access schemes and the types of things that companies are proposing, because I think it does give you a good window on the future.
Thanks. Andreas, what do you think NICE should involve in price setting?
First of all, I would hope that with this new setup that probably that the British patients will get the innovation probably even faster than they got it in the past. I would say to talk about pricing, as long as a value-based pricing system is set and transparent for us, I think that's a good thing. Whether NICE should do it or a different body, I'm actually pretty agnostic around this. I think we just need a transparent process in place, and then the government has to decide to whom we are starting to talk. But I would like to make one point. Despite the fact that the administration changes and the way we do it, the budget for medication probably goes not up. And that means at the end of the day, probably with the exception of this one funding of the oncology products. And this is always a limiting factor. And as long as the budget stays as it is, at the end of the day, probably there will be not more benefit for the patient. And I think that's probably the most critical or crucial point in the whole thing.
I'm going to have to interject
Yes,
again.
please.
Yes, please do. This is what it's all about, the round table.
But inherent in the current model, and I can't see that changing in the future model, is in a sense a prioritisation of medicines, because the very fact of a cost-effectiveness approach and the use of qualities that you are prepared to pay more for that health benefit. And so what, in effect, you're saying to the public purse, the public healthcare purse, is I'm putting more investment in this within the fixed budget that I've got. So I don't think necessarily the future is any less rosy, perhaps, for pharmaceuticals as it currently is, because there's a strong commitment certainly by the UK government, I can't see that changing across Europe, that the introductions of new medicines are a good thing.